many great creators have taken the side of the social justice left. And it's been out of convenience. But I guess perhaps the most interesting thing has been watching these guys do that have created these things that have been enjoyed by people that are on any side of the political aisle. Is watching them pretend like something that they created was always that way all along. It's kind of like with Jerry Conway. Believe it or not, that deranged leftist co-created The Punisher. Now, if you read his tweets and stuff that he posts now, you think that there's no way that that could have happened, but it did. Also, it's almost akin. I know J.K. Rowling is going through this thing because she has one differing opinion, but she's a leftist too, a raging one too. Hey, this character that we never alluded to ever being gay, in my books and in my material. Oh, he's just gay now. Congratulations. They do this stuff because they're spiteful, but don't allow them to gaslight you. We have another example of this. Neil Gaiman, who you know, and I forgot this was about to be a thing, with the Sandman. He is responding to certain things on Twitter because people, and I even mentioned it. I mentioned like some of the direction that they're going with. We did a post about Sandman and the direction that they're going with this Netflix adaptation and these needless changes and all that. And he says Sandman went woke in 1988 and it hasn't gone broke yet. These guys are cocky, man. And to be fair, Neil Gaiman always got like how it works with his shit. Like he sold his assets off. I'd be surprised if he even owns any fucking thing regarding Sandman. But he got his money, so he's good. He can burn it to the ground. But for him to sit there and say something like Sandman was quote unquote woke when it's created, that couldn't be anything further from the truth. That's a lie. He knows it though. He knows it. Also says this, whatever it was then, it's the same thing now. And like when you look at those needless changes, no, it's not. He said much of it is ahead of his time because time is caught up. And like people are saying, like, dude, no, your creations were never woke, what people would deem as woke. I know that people like to make that word mean something that it's not. The ones that are being disingenuous, which to be fair, the term got hijacked in the first place. But you know, people that will act like something's been a way that it's been the entire time when it's not been the way that it's been the entire time. So it's like, well, everything good or what good values, morals were presented, that equals social justice. It's like what they do with X-Men, right? We've heard this plenty of times. I had to do a long form video called, and you should go watch this, X-Men and the Social Justice Myth, one of my greater works. And this whole lie that like X-Men were created to basically be representative of the civil rights movement is one of the biggest lies in comic books. But that's what they presented as. So people like you hear this all the time. When you argue like about social justice bullshit in comics, they always refer to the X-Men and they'll say, well, how could you like the X-Men? That's why they were created. They were representative to be analogies for the civil rights movement. And Malcolm X is Magneto, which is an insult, by the way. And Professor X is Martin Luther King. How many times you heard that? It's a fucking lie. It's not true. Objectively speaking, that is a false statement. And there is no evidence of Stan Lee ever alluding to that until the fucking X-Men movies started being created. Like there was nothing that was there. He didn't talk about it in that aspect. In fact, we have evidence of him stating the complete opposite. Go watch it. But it don't stop them from saying it. They jack it. And then you may even get a creator or two. To be fair, though, like I guess one of the prominent X-Men writers that people look to is Chris Claremont. And Claremont also cleared this up where he says that, I'm like my whole, because you got to remember, this whole Magneto is feeling this way because of this Nazism and all of this stuff and what his family had to experience. That was a retcon. That was something that got retconned. And that happened with the addition of Chris Claremont. So that's going into the late 70s, going into the 80s where this stuff happened. X-Men had existed for over a decade before that. And there was So that wasn't even there, right? But even him, his came from more benign, and he specifically referenced the Jewish dichotomy and why he created, or what his influence was for Magneto and the X-Men back then. It had nothing to do with even the civil rights era. So even if you go off the Claremont's era, that's a lie. But it doesn't stop these people, including other X-Men artists and a writer or two, after the fact, that will pretend, well, it's always been this way. This is what we did. It's a lie. Neil Gaiman's on the same shit. He knows it's bullshit. Like, this is the thing. And you know how we know that they're lying? Is because if it were that, you would not get support for your brand. These guys are under just a complete delusion that everybody that supported their work and has always supported their work have been these leftists. That's just not true. From Star Wars to Marvel to DC, the fact that they're brands that they are now is because it appealed to people that were on different sides of the political aisle. You don't get that big unless you do that. But they lie. And then they gaslight you. But the thing is, they just want to appeal to that demographic of weirdos because they're in on it, right? Let's assume that this changed. Neil Gaiman, I'd be willing to bet he'd take the complete opposite position. If social justice became abhorrent culturally, which it should be, and that'd be a glorious time, where it became this, there's no such thing as social justice, by the way, it's only justice. But if what they deem as social justice became like a trait that people will like frown upon in the West, he'd take the opposite position. All of them would. It's just that that's the convenient position for them to take among Hollywood, among entertainment, and among the arts right now. And it's, unfortunately, this is a part of another conversation, a lot of people that are on the other side of the aisles aren't punishing them economically. You know, like, hell, it's finally getting to a point to where people are actually considering defunding Disney. But it took a while for us to get there. Right. These guys, a lot of people have abusive relationships, and then it's the Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, because as I say all the time, they don't fund us or they don't fund you. You fund them. You know what I mean? And so they benefit from that, though. They benefit from being able to speak bad upon their ideological enemies, despite the ideological enemies being the ones with the capital, being the ones with the money, being the ones with the investment that make your brands grow. You need them. But they act like they don't because now they big and bad, and it's culturally acceptable to be in those positions. Do not allow these fools to gaslight you, man. Don't allow it. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on YouTube.com/YoungRipper59 and Odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, EricDJuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.